one is, I love it. So yeah, like we've said, this one is unlocking key chain leadership. Although first, I'm going to ask you to put your hand up if you're not too embarrassed. Have you ever lost your keys? A good number of people. Put your hand up if you found them somewhere really, really odd or really ridiculous. Yes, anybody actually brave enough to share where that location was? Come on, guys. The fridge, I love it. The fridge, that's a really common one. One of my favorite places that I've put mine for safekeeping was under the tire of my car when I went swimming in the sea. And do you think I could remember where I'd put my keys? My favorite thing to do now is walk down to the beach. So, losing your key seems to be a pretty common thing to do. So I Googled it. And apparently up to 40% of Brits lose their keys every single year. What are we doing? Where are they going? So what do we do when we lose our keys? The first step is panic. Second step, you pat everywhere, you check all the bags, you rake around. Third step is usually total disbelief, like, I can't lose my keys. I didn't lose my keys. Oh, they're in the car. Oh, I've locked them in the house with the dog. It was definitely the dog. Fourth step, head in hand, think of plan B. So we literally lose access when we lose our keys. If we don't have keys to open the door literally remains locked. You remain on the outside of your home, standing there wishing you hadn't lost your keys. So keys are used metaphorically all the time, right, to depict something of great responsibility or something that's really important. And I was trying to think of like phrases that I've heard in the past. So things like the key to my heart is through my stomach. The key to success is. So it's used as a phrase all the time that we hear quite often. Now, what this talk is just how important these keys are to the Christian community and to the church. Now, you might have seen this diagram before. It might have popped up every single week for the last 4 weeks or so. But I'm just going to leave it there just so we can remind ourselves where we are on the journey. So, this talk is about if the church keeps their keys so safe, so tight to their chest, metaphorically, we lose access to a generation of potential leadership. And I don't mean the church door keys just before Fiona or Ella think that we're asking to make 100 copies of the front door keys of the church. What I mean by this is that if the church were to trust others with keys of leadership, keys of responsibility, keys of ownership, keys of confidence, we are handing people, including young people, it's a deeper sense of belonging. It's a contribution to the kingdom of God. Now, think of the first time that someone ever handed you a set of keys, house keys or car keys. How did it make you feel? Did you panic? Were you terrified? Were you really excited? I mean, it feels like you've been given the world and all the freedom when you get that house key at 17. My dad gave me 4 copies of the house key because he knew what I was like and he knew that I would lose it. So when we entrust other people, especially with big things, it can be really, really scary. But what it does for the other person is huge. Now, in Luke chapter 10, there is a great story. And it's a story about Jesus giving over this huge responsibility, like it's no big deal, really. And the story goes a bit like this. So this is Luke chapter 10, 1 I'll do maybe to 6. So after this, the Lord appointed 72 others and sent them 2 by 2 ahead of him to every town and place where he was about to go. He told them, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field. Go, I am sending you out like lambs among wolves. Do not take a purse or bag or sandals, and do not greet anyone on the road." I'm just going to add 5 and 6 in here. "When you enter a house, first say, 'Peace to this house.' If someone who promotes peace is there, your peace will rest on them. If not, it will return to you." So Jesus tells 72 newly appointed people to go on ahead, heal the sick, preach the gospel, pray very hard that the Lord would send more workers. No big deal, right? Just trusting your whole life's work with 72 people. So Jesus hands over some pretty important keys here, and this feels a little bit bigger than getting the keys to your first car. So Jesus hugely trusts others, some maybe in the midst of brokenness or failure or not feeling ready. But if they were still given this responsibility, still trusted in, it's so clear that Jesus still had confidence in them. He didn't really give room for doubt. I mean, look at that verse 3. He literally said, go. But who were these 72 people? How do we know if they were qualified? How do we know if they were ready? How do we know if they were capable? So we aren't told names. We aren't told where they came from or how they were even related to Jesus' ministry. But we could take a very small clue from Acts 1:21, where it states, to be an apostle, to be an evangelist, the person had to be with us the whole time the Lord Jesus was living among us. So they were known to Jesus and Jesus known to them. But this is still like the ultimate promotion. You know Jesus' work, but you're suddenly expected to go out there and prepare the way for this life-changing message. I feel like it's a bit like if you're at work, right, and your manager suddenly turns around and says, yeah, could you take a lead on this, this national conference? I'm just going to stay behind. I've got things to do. It's a huge responsibility, and these 72 people might have been excited about this, but I can imagine there might have been a lot of worry and doubt as well. But Jesus chooses them. He chooses these people despite them feeling ready or not. We don't know if they were capable, confident, or ready. We aren't told. And how many times in your life have you felt like that? I think that Jesus reminds us here that despite doubt, despite confusion, despite crippling self-belief, there is still work to be done. And Jesus hands the work of his kingdom to his followers to help care and lead for others. And it's a risky idea. 72 people is 72 opinions, 72 individual minds, 72 characters. It's pretty risky, but despite all that, Jesus is still saying, I choose you, I'm giving you the keys, and you have what it takes. I believe in you. But so often, I think what can hinder us is our failures and our feelings that we aren't quite good enough or we can't do it. So I was taught rock climbing by someone I really, really respect, a really cool, godly man called Legend Steve, who's been trekking and climbing all over the world. This guy's great. And one time after work, he took a bunch of us to Rathdowell, just outside Edinburgh, a massive indoor rock climbing centre. And he turned around and asked me, Becky, have you ever lead climbed before? I said, no. That's the very scary one where you don't really have a nice feeling of a rope kind of pulling you up. So top roping is where you have a harness and you can kind of feel the nice weight of the rope kind of pulling you up. You're not going to fall far. Lead climbing is the one where the rope's below you and you climb up 5 feet at a time and hook it on as you go. So of course I was like, no, I haven't tried that. And he sent me right up the wall. And I was shaking like a leaf. And about halfway up, there came a really horrible, really difficult move. I can still see it. One where you either had to make yourself look like a gymnast to try and get around it or some kind of Cirque du Soleil character to pull off. And I could not reach this next hold. I could not reach it. And I shouted down, Steve, I can't do it. Get me off the wall. And he gave the hands a go for her. Yep, get me down right now. And he shouted up, Becky, no. No, I really need to get down. I really can't get it. I can't get it. Try again. Of course, I thought that. Now, when you're 50 meters off the ground with no rope pulling you up, you kind of need to do a little bit of a jump to make a move. It's absolutely terrifying. It's not the best feeling in the world. And Steve shouted, Becky, you can do it. I know you can. Oh, and those words, I know you can. If Steve thinks I can. And then he shouted, Becky, close your eyes and try it. Sorry, what? I thought he'd be mad. Now, this is the best climbing trick I have ever learned in my whole life. Basically, what happens is when you close your eyes, somehow your brain helps extend these muscles in your arm and your shoulders that you never know you had. And 9 times out of 10, you can actually reach what you thought you couldn't. So I tried it, and I did it. I could reach it with my eyes shut. I got to the top. And what your brain is literally seeing through your eyes is telling you, that's impossible. That's really risky. That's scary. I'm not going to do that. But once you remove this psychological barrier by shutting your eyes, literally by taking the sight out of the situation and believing that you can do it, you can do it. So I came back down, I got a high five from Steve. Those are rare. Oh, it felt good. Someone actually believed in me and my really scrappy climbing abilities. Now, when I was reading through Luke and thinking of these 72 people in this terrifying scenario, I can just imagine them sitting on the ground, mouths wide open, freaking out, thinking, I'm not capable of this. This is too risky. I can't do this. But Jesus chooses them, and he still knows that they can do it. But who gets to lead? Who do we pick to lead? Why these 72? Do we pick those who are experienced, those who haven't mucked up, those who are flawless, someone who's proven themselves again and again or acted confident enough, maybe someone who's been here since day one? Not necessarily. Now, here is a great quote from the Growing Young book, which I'm sure every single speaker has been selling you hard to read this Growing Young book, but I'm going to quote this sentence because it's absolutely brilliant. It's, is responsibility part of the way that grace works itself through the church? I'm going to say that one more time because it is gold. Is responsibility part of the way that grace works itself through the church? And what if it is? What if grace in the church looks like belief in others, courage in others, taking a leap, taking that really scary risk? So how can we do this in Kings and the Barn and the wider community? We want to foster a place of encouragement, of belief in others, regardless of who they are or what they bring. And we can think about whether within our community here, are young people among us being given a shared responsibility in church? Are people being invited to contribute to the movement of the kingdom in this community? Do people have a sense that they have a role to play in this work? Now, you don't have to be in leadership to encourage this kind of keychain leadership. You don't need to be wearing skinny jeans, mom jeans, Converses, eat avocado for breakfast, have a TikTok account. I mean, I think if we want to ask Chris and Sarah to get into avocados on TikTok, we absolutely could. I'd be up for that. But you don't have to be young yourself. You don't have to feel relevant. You don't have to be cool. You might not even think that you know how to talk to young people. But here is some really cool facts for you that come from the Growing Young study. A whole bunch of people were asked why you attend church. Why is it this church? Why this church? Is it this one that you go to? And of those who did, 13% they all talked about the qualities of their leaders, and 13% focused on how their leaders were relevant, up to date with trends, with lingo, what they talk about. 87%, that's nearly 90%, focus on authenticity. Young people aren't looking for leaders who are changing their wardrobe or lingo in order to be, correct or relevant or cool. Young people really want leaders and people in the church who are honest and comfortable being themselves in all of their glory, all the mistakes, all the doubts, all the messy failures. And I think even if you're sat here now thinking, I don't know a young person in this church I could affect. There's no young people here. You can still do this with other people regardless of age. I'd like to think that we all think we're young people. And if we foster an environment of entrusting and empowering, young people will see that in the community, feel it, and feel attracted to it. Now, to be keychain leaders, you only need these things. To be able to entrust and empower others, know what matters to people, be real, not relevant, warm, not distant. I've met so many people in the Barn and Kings who are already living out that Growing Young keychain leadership. And I see it in things like Wonder Zone, the community fridge, Sunday services, life groups. But like I say, keychain leadership isn't just for church, though. You can do this at work, too. I'll just pop that slide on. So even outside work, neighbours, look out for people you think, they have skills in this area. Maybe I want to encourage and support that person. You could do it when you go shopping and speak to a cashier and ask a young person about their dreams and ambitions. Tell them you support them. Maybe you go to a gym, ask a young person to show you how to use a cool new piece of equipment, give them a confidence boost. Go to the community fridge and talk to one of the community users, find out their story. What made them come there? Offer them hope, give them encouragement. And I think the more that you do this in your own life, the more you can root it in church family, and start seeing potential in others. And if we, the congregation and members, build a healthy environment of encouragement and relationships and trust in one another, young people will feel attracted to this. There are not many spaces out there right now for young people in the world at all that are like this. And the church can serve as a place where belief in others is hugely valued and prioritized. Now, I've learned so much from people since moving up here. And there was one more story I wanted to tell you just about connection and how I think easy Highland people seem to find it. So we went to, I'm going to get this wrong, Brechin to the Eco Cafe with some friends. And the location itself was something out of a fairy tale. I mean, I've never seen anything like that in my life. But this was a great example of people in the Highlands and just connecting. So we went to this Eco Cafe. We sat down at a picnic table in the middle of the woods. And suddenly this incredible looking man appeared. He had big rosy cheeks, a big beard, and a sheep followed him, and one pig, and then a row of chickens. Honestly, I felt like I'd fallen asleep and had this really weird and wacky dream. I had no idea where I was. It was this incredible experience of an off-the-grid kind of place. So, yeah, we went with some of our friends, and we went up to the house, the cottage, to pay for our hot chocolate. And normally, I'm just like, quick pay, get out of there, get home kind of thing. And the friend that we were with, I've learned so much from him. He literally just kind of went to the guy, so, what's your story? And, I was like, oh, gosh, here we go. He's not gonna want to talk. The guy just went, I was in the RNLI, and, we've been up here off-grid for more than 20 years now, and we've had thousands of people here. And he just completely opened up and shared his whole story. But this was also very useful because it turns out that they had to move the solar panel to connect to the card machine so that we could actually pay for our lunch. So the time that we did talking was really, really good. But it just showed me that, if you're not afraid to connect and build relationships everywhere you go, start building them up. It allows you to pass on these keys that you have. And grace works itself through our lives and through the church. And it looks like belief in others. It looks like confidence in others. And it looks like authenticity. And it looks like connection. So I think no matter what your role, if you're willing to entrust your keys to young people, they will trust you with their hearts, their energy, their creativity, and their friends. And yeah, it can seem like a lot more work than it's worth. But you give them your access. When you give them your access, you have the opportunity to touch a whole generation. So take the risk. If it's scary, I was going to say close your eyes, maybe metaphorically close your eyes. Might look a bit odd if you go up to someone with your hand over your face. And trust in others. And I want to finish with, if Jesus can trust 72 people with his kingdom, so can we. Brilliant. Thanks, guys.